my grandfather was very interested in family history, and so he collected stories and genealogy, and then he had successive less children, so there's some of the stuff we have date to the 1850s.
Wow.
So I've got my great-great-great-grandmother's dining room table when her husband died in 1861 from tuberculosis. So he went into the war, got tuberculosis, they sent him home, and he died. And he owned a grist mill, and they were a little bit in debt, so everything had to be sold off.
Grist mill is like
wheat.
milling for wheat and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she couldn't inherit because she was a woman, so everything went up for auction.
Yeah.
So she had to buy her own stuff back, and a neighbor helped her by helping her get her dining room table back, which is I have. And I've got a daguerreotype. My namesake's husband was probably 1850, about when they got married.
That is incredible.
So a lot of the stuff we didn't realize that we had. My mom did genealogy, and of course she was the only one left, so she inherited everything when my grandmother died. We found all of this family stuff all over the house, shoved in drawers, trunks, everything. You know, moderation's not really in my family's vocabulary.
Oh, I get it.
Nor throwing things away.
Yeah, I get that too.
And I have a lot of stuff because my great-grandfather and my grandfather were homeopathic pharmacists down in Washington, D.C.
That is incredible.
The business was started in 1873, and then about that time actually, Boric and Taffel from Philadelphia owned it, and it was a branch of theirs.
Right.
They sold it to a woman, and she ran it. And then my great-grandfather, he moved up from Virginia and worked for her starting about 1911. He bought the business in 1927, and they lived above the stairs. So
that is awesome.
That building ended up getting torn down, and he saved a window from it, so I have that. And I have the original bookcase that was in it, and there's a picture of it about the 1870s, and we have that. We have the Rogers Group statues and stuff like that, and a whole lot of the bottles and meds that they had and just kind of went down the succession.
Is awesome.
And then my grandfather joined him when he was old enough.
Wow. Casey collects the apothecary, all kinds of stuff. Love stuff in jars, dead things in jars, medicine jars. She bought this little printer, and with my Photoshop, I make our little labels that says like mercury and cocaine and stuff like that, and she puts them on the bottles, and she says she's
I don't have mercury, but I do have foxglove.
Oh, really?
Still has it all in it.
No. We actually I just found this, this YouTube channel of a guy who does through the Maryland heritage people, and he just did, or I just watched rather, one of the buildings down there in Baltimore, and that's what it's about. It says dispensary on the outside of it, and that's what it was for, because it was a homeopathic dispensary.
Yeah, they would get stuff from there. Some of the bottles are from
Really?
the apothecary
Now,
here
see,
in Baltimore.
I'm a Baltimore fan. I collect things from Baltimore, you know, so I actually just got some things in that I can't show you on camera, but you'll appreciate because, well, they're illegal for me to have right now, so. I love museums, and I hopefully and wish with all powerful, above or below, whatever be, I hope I can keep doing this for many years. But if I can't, I have a lot of talents and stuff, and I'd like to, get into something somewhere.
Some get into it through experience. They start at smaller museums and kind of grow.
That's awesome.
With them. I have a very varied background. I went to undergraduate school at Colorado University for history and forensic anthropology, so I played with bones.
Really? Yeah, I know. That's
but
awesome.
Not smart enough quite to pursue it as a career. So then I went to grad school and got a degree in maritime archaeology and
that's a hell of a thing to have in Maryland. Especially
so I
here.
did that until I couldn't really dive anymore because I have asthma.
I know. That's one of the reasons I had to stop diving.
Yeah. So it was severe enough to stop that. So because I had those and I took many classes in museum studies while I was getting the maritime degree, I was able to get into museum work through the government. I worked at an Air Force base and was in a government apprenticeship, so they taught you for 3 years to do everything in a museum.
That's incredible.
And then I went. So I kind of had to do everything with collections and exhibits and archives there.
Yeah.
I also learned construction from the carpenter that was there.
No kidding.
And then I went to Mount Vernon, and while I was at Mount Vernon, I started doing more and more exhibit stuff. So I went to the Corcoran College of Art and Design for a year, and then it closed before my second year started.
No kidding.
But that was fine, because the second year was all learning how museums do what they do, and I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that for few years now.
Right.
So I don't really need a class on board structure and
right.
how to
Can you send me the link for YouTube, because I just need to brush up. I know what you're talking about. That's really cool.
But once you're in it with collections, objects are objects. They deteriorate the same way. They have to be stored the same way. So it doesn't really matter kind of what institution. It's a little different. Content-wise, I started at a history museum, and then I went to Mount Vernon, which was fine and decorative arts and history, and then the museum here is art, and so their angle's a little different, but I'm bringing more of the history stuff into it with them.
I am a history.
So we've had some history-heavy exhibits since I came on 2 years ago, so... Oh, well,
I like hearing shit. I like learning things.
The first one we did...
I talked to you guys for hours and hours and hours.
It was called Allure of the Near East, and it was Middle Eastern objects from the Reading Museum. And so usually when we host a museum, it's just the objects and the checklist. They don't really give us labels or anything like that, so we have to kind of customize it for ourselves. And so we did a little bit more of the history side than just look at this pretty silver cup type of a deal.
That's awesome.
And while we were doing that, we did one that was about... That one was a really heavy one. So there is a house in our Black community area up in Hagerstown.
Okay.
And this cabin, nobody really paid any attention to. It was just a little one-level siding on the outside.
Tell me it was underground railroad.
No, we do have some in Hagerstown.
I've never seen something like that in person. Wow.
This one, a cop ran into the house.
Oh, good Lord.
After a chase, it was raining in the chase. Under the siding was the original log cabin that dated to the 1700s when the town started.
No shit.
And so the state of Maryland out of Annapolis Prince Frederick, they did an archaeological site there, or study, and pulled up all of these objects. And so we wanted to do a show focusing on that. And so this was on the street is called Jonathan Street. So it was historic Jonathan Street. And we did exhibits and had about 150 archaeological objects in it, and a lot of history heavy. And we had an artist commission a piece kind of to encapsulate Jonathan Street. And so that's the first real in-house exhibit, because all the planning was done for Allure of the Near East up until the graphics when I came on board.
Right.
So I worked on that one a lot, on object labels and graphics and stuff. And I had the old Stanford fire maps.
Really?
I had the
I know
full one
they
of
are.
the Jonathan Street from like 1912. So that was really popular. People would stay at that for hours trying to figure out where they lived and what was where,
Absolutely.
what's still standing, what's not.
Yep, that's what we do.
So that was a fun one. And then
I want to do, speaking of pictures and things like that, like I said, I have the original pictures from these buildings from 1919 and stuff like that. And I'm smart enough to scan them, high-res scan them. So I can do whatever I want. But I want to print them on some kind of cellophane or something like that, overhead projector or something, and go match it up out front, kind of one of those.
oh yeah.
Mark X, and then take pictures and then mount the pictures themselves. Because I have them to where this is a single, there's no bays next to us.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the hut for the gas station. The holes were bricked up where all the pumps and everything were across the front of the building.
Oh gosh.
All kinds of neat shit. And I really, really, really like that. And I just want to make it look really cool. Because I love the building and it's got awesome history. I have one where there's actually beat cops walking around.
Yeah, I used some of those. I had found some of the original pictures of Jonathan Street at the crossroads, and so I did them as big murals that you could kind of like walk into.
That's awesome. Well, see, I know that's the stuff that you worked your lifetime to get to where you are from this, with all the schooling and all that stuff. My friend Carl from Corrupt. Yes. Are you going to come over and ask questions or jump in the conversation with us? The company he used to work for actually made all the exhibits for a lot of the museums, like Smithsonian and stuff like that. The one I helped on, because I had to go and do some hand painting that they couldn't do, was an Egyptian sarcophagus. So they asked me to help put the gold leaf and shit, all that stuff back
that's
on.
hard.
It's not that hard.
Well, you have to have patience.
Yes.
Gold
And as
foil,
long as I have,
spinach.
and as long as I have my Adderall and my music, I have plenty. For a little bit.
And then what did I do after that?
So he also made all the tracking system for the monitors and everything down at the aquarium.
Yeah.
And I helped well on that stuff too. And was like, hey, this is a really cool job, and I really think I should do this when I retire. Because I can build, Casey and I built everything in here, including the cases, the floors. I actually can do, pinstriping and hand lettering and old signs and anything I can get hold of. I built an engine and do shit.
Make a good exhibit install.
That's what I want to do. Yep. I want to paint stuff, customize stuff, put it out, let everybody see it, tear it down.
There's a lot of shops that do that.
Well, hopefully I'll have enough financial stability. Never. But I don't think I exist anymore. But I want to do it as a donation. I don't think it. I want to be the guy around that helps them.
Well, it's a good thing because in museums we don't always get a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
And you have to do a lot with not a huge budget. So yeah, I have to learn, especially at this museum, like how to do things and make it look good, but not spend a ton of money.
Well, I also personally, Casey and I do too.
Because we're free.
Yes. I noticed. I stalked.
You should.
I did. And if you were 2 hours away, I'd be there. I love it. I think it's great. But I'm so bad. I haven't even been to the Walters. I never get a chance to get out. Now the kids are too old. And by myself, I look like a grandpa. Which I can give two shits about. It's not actually. No, I was.
Oh no.
So this is the super long.
Samurai cat?
Sort of.
It's got Saudi pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Wasabi.
The cat reference for this, her family cat, when she was out, she does a tuxedo cat. And I was telling her about Mouse's baby.
Lego.
The Lego tuxedo cat. That thing was, I didn't want to give him keys and give it to his girl. He did give it to
He
his
did.
But I was like, son, I think you might have to get that shit and do the rest new.
She has a boy cat in that named Oreo. That's a black and white cat too. It's a tuxedo cat. So that's why I got it. Got it for her, but yeah, he was. I was like, I had no idea it was gonna be that big. He was like, I had no idea it was that big. He was like,
I think it was huge. It was.
He said it was expensive too. And I was like, well, for Lego.
Yeah, Lego.
Lego
Yeah.
are expensive. So whatever. It was.
Paint watercolor. I hate tattoos.
I don't mind. I just.
Now, how is that different than regular?
It's still regular.
It's regular
I mean,
It's
anyway.
all
like the
technique.
process.
Yeah, it's a different technique. It's
I use the same technique, I just make it the long way. I make mine look like a portrait of a watercolor tattoo on your skin, as opposed to like when she does it, she looks like the water portrait is on your skin. The difference is I add shape, shading, and highlights to it to make it look like more realistic. Hers look like an actual painting.
Okay.
yeah. So I have some inks that work better for my style of watercolor because it's easier to water them down a little bit to use them as like the watercolors or give it the watercolor look. Yeah, for a while, watercolor galaxies was what everybody wanted. Technically, it's a lot of black.
Oh, well, as a gearhead, you'll be very happy. We did get the Edison pin.
Really?
Henry Ford lent us one.
On the card.
It's really awesome.
That is nice.
And it looks a lot like your all's coils. We've got them all displayed in the same
But it works
case.
like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same kind of
Yeah.
like.
That is amazing. My machines are in there with it? Wow.
So hopefully you will be happy with how the show looks.
Already.
Yeah, it's crazy how far tattooing's come in the last 10 years, considering how same it was for so long. How like consistent it was with the core machines and the ink with the metal in it.
Yeah, I still know how to make ink.
You don't even
Oh.
get tattooed.
That's the temporary tattoo.
That's awesome. I thought that too, you were talking about when you said that.
Yeah, one of the artists in the show actually, that's a tattoo he does similar to that. So we asked him to do one. He's like
Sure.
super excited about it. Yeah. I don't think
So I told her you were going to be all clinical and ask her, like, you know, questions about, you know, how it feels. And we're not past all of that.
Because apparently it doesn't seem like it feels too bad.
She hasn't moved an inch.
depends on where it is. It ranges between a 3 and a 7 or 8.
I can agree with that.